Hello again, everybody, and I kind of just forgot to upload again. I'm sorry, but I'm back with another video, this time on a subject that's a little more broad as opposed to my usual coverage of just specific trending topics. I think I might try to do more videos like this in the future, as they're a lot easier for me to make, but other than that, I'll be trying to make more content consistently, so be sure to leave your opinions down below after watching if you want to see more stuff like this, if I can do better on certain things, etc. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Fujoshi is a bit of a self-mocking term, the translation meaning rotten girl, as it's used to describe a female anime fan that's rather obsessive, imagining attractive male characters in relationships with one another, or indulging in yaoi content, with the male version of this being fundanshi, and the fixation with that being on female content. And believe it or not, there's actually kind of a history behind yaoi as a genre, but don't worry, I'm not going to give you a lecture on the history of anime boys with pointy chins and weirdly long fingers. I'm just going to give you a rather quick rundown of the origin of the genre. Yaoi is actually an acronym, short for, and I'm so sorry if I butcher this, Yamanashi, Ochinashi, Iminashi, which basically translates to no climax, no punchline, no meaning, in reference to the typical lack of real plot present in most of the works. Yaoi is also commonly referred to as BL, standing for boys love, which is the phrase I'll be using throughout the rest of this video, seeing as the word yaoi is just kind of hard to say. It's pretty cringe if you ask me. But anyways, despite it being a genre entirely centered around male-on-male romance, a majority of the consumer base is female, and at least in Western culture, a lot of these female consumers are like really young, which is, you know, not the greatest thing when the entire genre of BL is highly sexualized, and not at all a reflection of accurate relationships, hetero or homosexual, but I will get into that later. Western Fujoshi culture has kind of devolved into a bunch of preteen girls writing doujinshis for their favorite anime characters, or making terrible memes like this one where they pronounce their love for the genre. And of course, being a form of Japanese media, obviously this has attracted its fair share of weebs as well, so coupled with the average age of someone who openly labeled themselves as a Fujoshi, you can probably guess what kind of weebs they are, and I'm having, 2015 flashbacks, like back when I was first introduced to DeviantArt and everything was like shitty MS Paint anime bases. The nosebleed trope was everywhere, Nightcore Hatsune Miku covers with a shit, and L from Death Note was the emo icon, although that last one is slowly seeping back into newer culture, but I digress. Now that the boring part's over, we're here for the juicy bits, and that is the cringe-inducing middle school regret that is child Fujoshis. So many of these people are gacha kids, and I know I keep saying that phase of my channel is over, but I guess it's just perpetually haunting me because here we go again, oh boy. By the way, if you happen to know who any of the artist/original posters are, don't go harass them or anything, that really would not be cool, but yeah, here we go. First post, number 1, from Fujoshi Life. The biggest problem of Fujoshi existence, why I'm not a boy. Man, I honestly just kind of really don't like this part where people wish they were boys only so they can be parts of the male-on-male romance. I just feel like that's really fetishy because there are genuinely people, who are born female and they're not female, they're male. But if you're just saying that you want to be a boy because you want to be, you want to star in your own fucking yaoi, that's just feels disrespectful, Then here's the next one that kind of really reminds me of like the 2015 emo posts. Yaoi fangirls, who the fuck cares if it's creepy? Okay, that's really weird right there. I know I'm gonna say that a lot, but it's common dignity that you should like not do that, but I guess these people take pride in it and that's really not great. And then here's another gotcha post. No one's home, time to watch yaoi, mihi. I'm not fucking doing the voice, man, I can't do it today. Yeah, this is like the prime example of the age demographic that this particular genre appeals to, because if you're unironically calling male-on-male romance yaoi, you're probably like 12. I'm sorry, but in my experience, these people are just really young. I think this might be satire, but I don't know. Boring, straight people suck, disgusting, Yuri, fuck yeah, yaoi, dude, what the hell? Again, I'm pretty sure this is satire because of the straight people suck thing, but then again, maybe it's not. I know there are people who like genuinely hate straight people for no reason other than they're straight. And there's also the whole Yuri thing, like, what's wrong with females? What's wrong with females? Do you hate women? Is this a gamer moment you're having here? Anyways, now that we're done with that, taking a break from the more lighthearted posts, I'd like to briefly touch upon the subject because it is one that genuinely does interest me. I want to talk about the killing stalking fandom, because while there are a lot of Fujoshis present in the audience, the original source material wasn't at all supposed to be a genre that would attract those kind of people. The author herself stated it's not supposed to be a romance story. In fact, it's a psychological horror and thriller where the focus is on a relationship that is very obviously abusive and not at all healthy, but people decided to romanticize it anyway, because why the fuck not, you know? Man, I hate people. I have seen so many people treat killing stalking like a romance novel when that is literally not at all what it is. The focus is supposed to be, again, on psychological horror. In fact, killing stalking, like a lot of South Korean fiction media, focuses on pretty real violence that impacts a lot of people, unlike Japanese fictional media, which tends to be kind of whimsical, if that's the right word for it. Killing stalking is so obviously not a romance novel, yet a lot of people treat it like it is anyway, and I often wonder why, because the fandom fetishized the abuse that was going on in it so much for a while that I actually believed the source material was also like that, until I actually read some of it for this video and I found out that yeah, that wasn't the case. That leads me to the question, why did so many people start to romanticize this? I feel like it was because the themes present in killing stalking, i.e., you know, the stalking, obsessive behavior, one of the partners having a very obvious dominant personality, while the other is more submissive, all of that are themes that are also present in a lot of other boys love media, and if that's the kind of stuff you consume often and regularly, you're not going to see a problem with it if it starts to get extreme like what's portrayed here. There's also a lot of scenes where Sang-woo, which is the quote-unquote dominant guy in this, is treating Yoonbum nicely, but then again, you have to remember that this is psychological horror, and Sang-woo is a literal murderer and psychopath, so this is abusive behavior. He is tricking Yoonbum into thinking he is safe with him, and I could go on about this for a while because it's a very interesting manhwa, but anyways, enough of that. I must stress that the relationship portrayed in Killing Stalking is not a healthy one by any stretch of the term. By the way, this isn't to say that Killing Stalking is problematic or anything just because it covers dark themes. If you enjoy it as what it's supposed to be, a horror work, you're not problematic or anything. And God, I hate the word problematic, but it's just the best thing I can think of right now. But anyways, my point is, it is completely fine to consume dark media like this one as long as you don't try and spin it into something it's not, i.e. romance. The problem begins when you try to spin it into something like that and borderline fetishize the character dynamics, because not only is that a complete bastardization of the author's original intent, it is also not a good thing to show to others, especially those that may have suffered abuse similar to what's being portrayed in the media, or to those who are impressionable. I have seen many abuse victims talk about how horrible it is when people romanticize things like Killing Stalking's relationships, because it's just downright insulting to see situations you've been through and survived be painted as like a good thing or something that's desirable or fucking goals or whatever these people use. Something that people want to obtain even though that's not at all a good thing and it's very harmful. However, I am getting ahead of myself here, so let's just move on to the next segment. Let me start off the segment by saying that as an Asian person who is attracted to the same gender, I am so tired of seeing gay Asian couples be fetishized. I mean, fuck, I am just tired of seeing Asians fetishized in general. I've already gone off track. The extent of the Fujoshi culture extends outward into real-life situations sometimes, i.e. shipping real people to the point where it makes them genuinely uncomfortable around them, see, you know, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, and I've seen people just comment on random people's posts about, like, who's Seme and who's Uke, and by the way, those are the yaoi versions of top and bottom, like that's none of their fucking business in the first place. But anyways, there's this one particular Reddit story that stuck with me about this guy who was being harassed by this girl who thought he was gay because he ate lunch with a male friend, and albeit situations like that are rare, but a lot of people cross the lines all the time, and it's just really tiring. Not to mention, a lot of tropes that are present in BL, like the ones I discussed earlier, are often forced onto gay couples as an expectation, which is not great. And just a little PSA here, you aren't automatically an LGBT ally because you read BL or Yuri. Just because you aren't disgusted by gay people doesn't mean partaking in the fetishization of them is any less harmful, because a lot of the younger Fujoshis tend to brush off that criticism by claiming to be supporting the community, even though a lot of BL is produced by straight women, and a lot of us personally don't like it. Like, it's not a good thing. While fetishization is not as bad as outright hate, it's still really not a good thing, because it can make a lot of people really uncomfortable and reinforce stereotypes, and it's just not to mention the sheer number number of literal children in this community because let's be real, nobody is making this shit if they're over the age of 18. BL is a highly sexualized genre, and it goes without saying that 12-year-olds really don't need to be seeing that shit, nor having the impression that stories that are mainly written to satisfy certain desires and have little to no actual substance other than body shots and fanservice are an actual portrayal of real people's relationships. It is also not great to have a bunch of 12-year-olds trying to model relationships after the BL they read because, like I mentioned, 90% of that shit in these no-plot BLs are not a good template for real-life interactions, romantic or not. Also, I do want to make it clear that just because you enjoy ships that happen to be homosexual, that doesn't make you like a fetishizer or whatever. If you think two characters should be in a relationship because of the canon interactions they share, personality traits or interests, and they just happen to be the same gender, that's totally cool, but if you're pairing them together because they're the same gender and that's pretty much your only reason, that's not so cool. Generally, I feel like relationships should be valued based on the dynamic of the characters rather than their gender, but maybe that's just me. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say for today's video, so I'll be wrapping this up now. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Sorry if it was like a little scrambled. I'm still getting used to talking about broader topics rather than just going down a list of, current dramas. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know down below if there's anything you want to see in particular or if there's something I could improve on. I do have some other videos planned, so hopefully I can get those out too. I am trying to get back on a good upload schedule. Just please believe me this time, but yeah. That's all for today. If you liked it, be sure to check out my channel as I post more videos like this one. Be sure to like and comment for those sweet, sweet interaction points, and if you want to see the finished piece of the speed paint in the background of this video, or maybe get a commission, take a look at my social medias, all linked in the description down below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.